Part 49 If Oak Trees Could Talk. Welcome to my video blog of If Oak Trees Could Talk. I once again just want to thank all of you for reading along or tuning into each post. We have a few videos left as we are nearing the end of the romance suspense novel. Today we pick up in a new chapter, Chapter 22, The Ghost. The time seemed to slow to a snail's pace for Henry. Once he and Helen had gotten back into their room from the activity center, the therapist came in and took Helen to therapy. Henry wished that he could take a nap, but instead he found some of the notebooks that Amelia had brought him. The pages were filled from when he was still trying to find his way out of the darkness. As he read some of what he had written, his eyes filled with tears as he looked to his old friend once again. "I knew you were helping me all along," Henry said to his old friend. "Well, you and the sweet Lord above. I have to give him credit because he has blessed me with the best that I could have ever asked for in this life." He thought of his time on the outside a couple of days ago and how free he and Helen were. He chuckled when he remembered that he left the center with no clothes on. "Boy, I surely was messed up, wasn't I?" Henry said to his old friend. "But as usual, you helped me when I climbed up in your loving branches of embrace. What a precious time for my Helen and I. I owe her a lot more precious times, and I'm going to see that we are free to enjoy them. Thank you for helping me, Lord," Henry said as he looked to the sky. Then looked back at his picture of the old oak tree. "Thank you for my best friend, too. Amen." Just as Henry finished his prayer and thankfulness and reflection, a knock came at the door. It was the therapist bringing his love back to him. Henry's face lit up as Helen seemed to be in better spirits. "You did wonderful, Miss Helen," the therapist bragged. "I think you're right where we hoped you would be. You've recovered wonderfully. Things will only improve from here on out," the therapist encouraged as they went out the door. However, the door never closed completely as Nurse Applegate came in behind therapist with a smile. "Terrific! I just heard the good news, Mrs. Tyler. That is wonderful progress. I know that you have put in some very painful work out in order to get that report, huh?" "Yes, sweetie, I sure have," Helen answered with a light smile. She knew now that she was ready to leave Glenview. She felt that all Henry ever needed was his home and familiar surroundings to be whole again, especially his old oak tree friend. They were on their way out, and it couldn't be soon enough for either of them. "Do you want to go to the cafeteria and eat, or do you want it delivered into your room?" Nurse Applegate inquired. "I have the rest of your medications right here. It is up to you if you want to go to the cafeteria," she continued. Helen looked at Henry again, and she knew that he had to hide his pill, but he had already perfected his acting. He pretended to pop the pill as he downed a glass of water, and voila, he was finished. "No, we will not go to the cafeteria. My sweet Helen has had a rough day in therapy and the activity center. I think we will just stick around and after dinner go to bed," Henry answered quite clearly. Helen agreed. "What time did you say everyone left the cafeteria again?" Henry asked. "Everyone is out usually around by about 7 o'clock, Nurse Applegate answered, as she was really surprised that Henry actually responded to her questions and even asked questions and waited for her response. She was impressed with both Mr. and Mrs. Tyler's progress. After Nurse Applegate left the room, Henry and Helen mused at their day, and in all it was a pretty good day considering where they were. The two waited for their food to be delivered so they could eat and go to bed. Henry didn't tell Helen about the conversation between Mr. Hodges and Sheriff Eugene. He didn't want to worry her any more than she was already worried. Instead, he seriously was going to lie down with his sweet Helen, and when she drifted off to sleep, the ghost was going to make his move. He hoped that Helen would sleep and be none the wiser. Soon someone was at the door. It was their dinner. Henry and Helen sat at their little bistro table, with their glasses filled and nothing more than water. They pretended it was wine and toasted the great healing and progress that they both had made. Suddenly Henry raised his glass and hollered, "To life!" Helen giggled and repeated, "To life!" They ate their dinner and spent time with one another. After their meal they stood and looked out of the window over the gardens as the sun was going down. They smiled as both were thinking the same thing. But then Henry said it. "Yes, soon we will be looking over our own beautiful and peaceful gardens." Helen smiled as she moved toward the bed. She truly was exhausted, and she climbed in as Henry covered her. "Aren't you coming?" she asked. Soon, sweetheart. I will come to bed soon. Ellen drifted off to sleep almost immediately. Henry stood and watched her as peace settled in. He watched the time until it was around 7:30. He then needed to act quickly and precisely. It was now or never, he thought. He immediately went to the door. He opened it quietly and looked both ways to make for sure that all was clear. He stepped out and walked quickly to the end of the hallway. He pushed open the door that led upstairs. He listened to make for sure that no one was in the stairwell. He walked faster to the door that he hid behind when he overheard Mr. Hodges and Sheriff Eugene talking. The door opened right in front of the cafeteria. He opened it slightly, as this hallway was obviously busier than the one he and Helen's room was on. He heard someone talking and could see two nurses standing in front of the medicine room. One unlocked the door as the other stood outside. When the first came out, the second went in. Soon they both walked together down the hall and around the corner. When it was clear, he ran and tiptoed to see if he could see through the two windows in each of the cafeteria doors. As he looked inside, it was darkened, with the exception of the exit signs above the doors. Henry was thrilled, as it was just enough light for him to see what he was doing, but not so bright that the ghost could hide in the darkness quite easily. Soon he pushed one door open very gently and stepped inside. Once he was sure that it was clear, he ran immediately to the supply closet. Stepping inside, he immediately grabbed a black uniform, which would help him to be even more blended with the darkness of the room. He could also possibly pass as the cafeteria helper if he was questioned from a distance. Henry then searched the utensil drawer, where he found a small toolkit. He grabbed it and placed it in his pocket of his uniform. Henry then rolled the tall ladder that was used to get the supplies down from the top shelf of the pantry under the air conditioning vent that was mounted in the ceiling. He scurried up the ladder like a lineman and immediately opened the toolbox. He took out a screwdriver and unscrewed the vent. He then turned it at a different angle to push it to the right of the opening. He knew he wanted to go left. Henry tried to pull himself up from the ladder, but he was very weak. However, he was determined to fulfill the ghost's mission. Once he was finally able to lift himself inside the duct, he then crawled as quietly as he could on his knees. The ductwork was metal, and it made a rattling noise as Henry's knees pressed into it. He moved quickly until he went through to the middle hallway. Henry knew that the next room he went over in the vent was going to be Mr. Hodges' office. It was probably getting close to 8 o'clock and time for Sheriff Eugene to show up. Henry moved very deliberately and slowly now to keep down any noise that his knees would possibly make. Henry practically held his breath as he moved up over Mr. Hodges' office. The vent was actually next to the inside wall, which pleased Henry. He could rest his body flat and lay down. Most of his body and weight would be positioned in the hallway that was in the middle of Mr. Hodges' office and the cafeteria. He could see Mr. Hodges' desk, which was off to the right of him. He also could see Mr. Hodges as he stared at his watch. Henry just made himself comfortable and waited quietly. Thank you once again for tuning in or reading along with me. It is my hope that you have been enjoying my romance suspense novel, If Oak Trees Could Talk, for it has been my pleasure to share it with you. As always, I would love to hear from you. I want to thank all of you that have begun following my WordPress blog. Please continue to tune in as we are moving right along through the book. If you are interested in obtaining your own copy of If Oak Trees Could Talk or any of my other books, please visit my Amazon author page here. Also, if you are new to my video blogs and would like to catch up on the story from the beginning, please check out the archives in this blog or simply subscribe to my YouTube videos as they are numbered and in order. I am also a weekly contributor to the Lakeview Times. All of my videos are published each week at www.lakeviewtimes.com.